The air is cold. You can feel the weight of stone walls pressing in on you, taller than your small frame, thicker than your little lungs can measure. The year is 1422, and you are not yet 9 months old. Yet the world insists on calling you king. Your father, Henry V, the warrior of Agincourt, the man sung in ballads and whispered in taverns, has just died, felled not by an enemy's sword but by dysentery in France. The throne of England, bloodied by conquest, polished by ambition, now lies empty, and into that vacancy, into that throne carved by centuries of brutality and power, they set you, a baby. Imagine, you cannot speak, you cannot walk, you cannot even understand the words that echo through Westminster Abbey as they crown you Henry VI of England. The Archbishop's hands, heavy with oil, mark your forehead. The crown, too large for your head, seems almost comical, but there is nothing humorous in the eyes of the nobles who kneel before you. They know what it means. A kingdom led by an infant is a kingdom led by wolves. You are England's sovereign, but you are also its hostage. For years, others will rule in your name. Councils of lords, factions of nobles, guardians whispering into your ear. They tell you what is right, what is just, what must be done, but none of it is yours. Your childhood is stolen, wrapped in the suffocating silk of power you do not yet comprehend. And yet, even as you grow, something inside you resists. You are not like your father, the warrior king. You are quiet, gentle. You prefer books to blades, prayer to politics. You are raised in a world of steel and ambition, but you cling to something softer, an almost holy innocence. But innocence is dangerous in a world built on blood. While you are learning your letters, your kingdom is still at war. England holds vast territories in France, won by your father's campaigns. But those lands do not stay conquered forever. The French fight back, village by village, castle by castle. In the whispers of Europe, one name rises: Jeanne d'Arc, the Maid of Orleans. While you are still a boy, she rallies France against the English crown that sits so awkwardly on your head. Every victory she wins is a wound to your fragile rule. Every defeat of England is a reminder. You were crowned, but you are not your father. By the time you are 6 years old, another decision is made for you, a decision so strange, so grotesque, that it will echo in history as one of the strangest royal arrangements ever made. They marry, not to another child, not to a girl of your age who might grow with you. No, they bind you to a woman nearly 5 times older than you are, Margaret of Anjou, queen, widow, a force of nature in her own right. She is 29 years old. You are 6. The ceremony is not about love, it is not about family, it is about politics, always politics. A marriage meant to bind England and France, to soothe bloodshed with the illusion of unity. But for you, it is bewildering. You do not understand the vows they place in your mouth. You cannot fathom what it means to be a husband. You are a child, clutching a toy, while she, an experienced queen, stares down at you with the weight of expectation. From that moment, the contradictions of your life sharpen into focus. You are a boy who must act like a man who clings to boyhood, a king who cannot command. The whispers begin. Courtiers smirk behind fans. Foreign ambassadors laugh into their sleeves. England is ruled by a boy who plays husband to a woman nearly his mother's age. Your throne begins to wobble on its fragile legs. And yet, despite this bizarre union, despite the mocking and the politics, you remain gentle. Too gentle. You are not cruel, not cunning, not ruthless. You do not sharpen daggers beneath your cloak. You do not rehearse wars in your dreams. Instead, you pray, you study. You imagine a kingdom where swords rust in their sheaths. But kingdoms are not built on dreams. They are built on blood. Your court fractures. Ambition festers in every corner. Noble houses jostle for control, whispering their claims, planting their seeds of rebellion. They smell weakness, and in you, they find a field ripe for harvest. For a while, Margaret shields you. Despite the strange beginnings of your marriage, she grows into her role as your protector, your partner in rule. Stronger than you, sharper than you, she carries your throne on her shoulders. But even she cannot protect you forever, for within you lies another shadow, a weakness that is not political, not external, but deeply personal. Something in your mind cracks. Historians today might call it illness, depression, even catatonia. But in your time, it is simply madness. There are moments when you retreat so far into yourself that you cannot move, cannot speak, cannot recognize the faces around you. The world continues to tear itself apart, but you, King of England, sit in silence. your eyes glazed, your body unmoving. What is a king who cannot rule? What is a husband who cannot lead? What is a child who never truly grows into his crown? The crown rests uneasy on your head. Years pass, yet the weight of it only grows heavier. You are king, but you are not sovereign. You are husband, but not truly a man. You are England's hope, but also England's weakness. By the time you reach manhood, your kingdom is already splitting at the seams. England bleeds silver into its wars with France. Once mighty territories crumble. Normandy, Gascony, Aquitaine, all lost, swallowed back by the French crown. Men who once cheered your father's triumphs now spit in anger, muttering that his son is no warrior, no king at all. And then, in 1453, comes the final blow. At Castillon, the English army falls. The 100 Years' War, that endless struggle that had consumed generations, ends in disaster. England, once proud master of half of France, is reduced to Calais alone. It is too much for you. Your mind collapses. One day, you sit on your throne. The next, you are gone, lost somewhere inside yourself. You do not speak. You do not move. You stare into the distance, eyes glazed, your body stiff. The whispers of madness become screams. For more than a year, England has no king in truth, only a husk in royal robes. In your silence, others rise. Your wife, Margaret of Anjou, steps forward. Fierce, proud, unyielding, she rules in your name. But with every order she gives, every enemy she makes, resentment grows. The nobles mutter, "This is no queen. This is a tyrant." And then comes your rival, Richard, Duke of York, a man of royal blood, a man with ambition burning in his veins, a man who looks at your throne not as sacred, but as his birthright. In your weakness, in your silence, he sees opportunity. The realm fractures. Those loyal to Lancaster, your house, rally to your wife and son. Those loyal to York gather behind Richard. The streets of London fill with banners, red and white, roses of blood and bone. The wars of the roses have begun. At first you are absent. Your mind drifts, locked away. Battles rage. Men die, and you do not even know. But when you finally stir, when your silence breaks, it is as if you awaken into a nightmare you cannot control. You see England turned against itself. Cousins, brothers, neighbors, hacking each other down. You see your wife, fierce as a lioness, clawing to protect your crown and your son's inheritance. You see Richard of York, daring to claim not just the throne, but legitimacy itself. And through it all, you remain what you have always been, a man too gentle for a brutal world. In 1460, the struggle reaches its height. At the Battle of Northampton, you are captured, your royal banner torn, your person dragged into the custody of your enemies. The Duke of York confronts you, his ambition no longer hidden. He does not bow. He does not beg. Instead, he declares himself the rightful heir. You are forced to sign the Act of Accord. Your son, Edward of Westminster, is disinherited. The throne you never wanted is promised to another man's line. How does it feel to look into the eyes of your child and know you have stripped away his birthright? To know that your weakness, your silence, has robbed him of everything? Margaret will not forgive you. Not for this. She rallies her forces. Not for you, but for your son, for his future, for the bloodline you surrendered. And so the war turns bloodier still. The year is 1461. The battle is Towton, the largest, bloodiest clash ever fought on English soil. Snow falls thick, wind howls, blades clash in the storm. When it is over, the field is a charnel house. Tens of thousands lie dead, frozen in grotesque poses. The Lancastrian banners lie trampled in the mud. York has triumphed. You are no longer king. Edward, son of Richard of York, is crowned Edward IV of England. Young, handsome, ruthless, everything you are not. You flee north. Margaret clutches your hand, dragging you into exile. You hide in Scotland. You beg in France. The king who was crowned as an infant, who was married as a child, now lives as a fugitive. But exile does not last forever. In 1470, fortune turns once more. A rebellion erupts against Edward IV. The great Warwick, the kingmaker, switches sides. Suddenly, you are pulled from the shadows, brought back into the light. Henry VI, forgotten, broken, a puppet of stronger wills, is restored to his throne. For a brief moment you sit once more upon the seat of kings. But it is not triumph, it is mockery. You are a shadow of yourself. The court whispers, "The king is back, but not in truth, only in name. Even Margaret knows it. She rules in your place as she always has. You shuffle through the halls, praying, murmuring, staring. Your eyes are distant. You are not a king reborn. You are a ghost haunting your own reign. Edward IV returns. At Barnet and Tewkesbury, the Yorkist forces crush Lancaster once and for all. Margaret is captured. Your only son, Edward of Westminster, the hope of your line, the child for whom your wife fought so desperately, is slain on the battlefield, cut down at just 17. Your line is extinguished, your crown is gone, and you, Henry VI, are nothing. You are led back to the Tower of London, once a palace, now your prison, the place where kings are broken, where ambitions end in chains. You pace the stones whispering prayers, clutching at God, seeking solace. Perhaps you believe still against all reason that mercy might come, that Edward IV might show pity. But kings do not deal in mercy, and Edward IV has no intention of leaving you alive. The Tower of London looms around you. Its walls are damp, its stones cold with centuries of whispers. You know what this place means. It is no sanctuary. It is no palace. It is the waiting room of death. You were crowned before you could walk. You were wed before you could understand what marriage meant. You ruled a kingdom that never obeyed you. And now, at 50 years old, you sit alone in this fortress, stripped of crown, stripped of family, stripped even of the illusion of power. Edward IV has returned to his throne, young, strong, unchallenged. He cannot afford your existence. As long as you live, you remain a symbol, a flicker of hope for rebels, a banner for Lancastrian loyalists to rally behind. To the Yorkist king, you are not a man. You are a threat. And so the days pass, heavy with silence. You murmur prayers into the dark. Your fingers clutch rosary beads until they wear grooves in your skin. You eat little, speak less, walk only when the guards command it. Shadows lengthen, candles burn out, time dissolves. Do you know it is coming? Do you sense it? In the way the guards glance at you, avoiding your eyes, in the way the tower seems to grow heavier with each breath. The night is May 21st, 1471. Outside, the city sleeps. Inside the tower, your fate is sealed. No records describe the exact moment. Some say you were praying when they came. Some say you were asleep, your lips parted, whispering fragments of psalms. Some say you never saw the hand that struck you down. But all accounts agree on one thing. You did not leave that chamber alive. The official story is convenient. The court whispers, Henry died of melancholy, a king undone by sorrow. How poetic, how clean. But the truth leaks through the cracks of history. Few believe it. Most know the reality. Edward IV ordered your death, whether by dagger or strangulation, whether by the hands of guards or by the hands of Richard, Duke of Gloucester, later Richard III. You were murdered in silence, your blood soaking the stones of the tower. The last Lancastrian king, the king who never truly ruled, the child who wore a crown too heavy for his head. Your death does not end England's suffering. It only continues the spiral. The Wars of the Roses rage on, tearing the kingdom apart for years to come. York and Lancaster, White Rose and Red, trading victories and corpses, until finally, long after your bones lie cold, another dynasty rises. The Tudors, who stitch the roses together in blood and marriage. And yet, you remain a ghost, not forgotten entirely, not erased. For in death, you become something strange, something almost holy. Miracles are whispered in your name. At your grave, they say, the sick are healed, the blind see, the desperate find hope. Pilgrims flock to Windsor, believing you a saint in all but title. Even kings, generations later, bow before your tomb, asking for your intercession. How ironic. In life, you were mocked as weak, derided as unfit, cast aside as useless. In death, you are revered as pure, holy, touched by God. The same gentleness that doomed you as a ruler becomes the quality that sanctifies you as a martyr. And here lies the question, what is greatness? Is it the steel of your father, Henry V, who won battles but left a fragile legacy? Is it the ruthlessness of Edward IV, who seized the throne through blood and murder? Or is it yours, your quiet, your peace, your refusal to become the beast the crown demanded? History does not reward softness. History devours it. But memory sometimes chooses differently. You are remembered not as a conqueror, not as a tyrant, not even as a failure. You are remembered as something rarer, a man too human for his crown, a king who could not rule because he could not betray his own gentleness. And so your story is not one of triumph or legacy. It is one of tragedy, a life forced into shapes it could not hold, a childhood twisted into kingship, a marriage turned into politics, a reign drowned in blood. You were married at 6 to a woman 23 years your elder. You were crowned before you could walk. You were broken before you could choose. But in the cracks of your weakness, there shines something strangely eternal, the reminder that not every life is meant for war. Not every crown suits the head it touches. Not every king is meant to be great in the ways history demands. In the end, you remind us of a truth that history often buries, that power is not always destiny, that gentleness is not always weakness, and that even the forgotten can haunt the centuries. For though your crown slipped, though your dynasty fell, though your bloodline ended in slaughter, the memory of Henry VI endures, not as the warrior your father was, not as the usurper your rivals were, but as the king who could not rule. And in that, perhaps, there is a strange kind of victory. History is filled with men who took the crown with steel, who killed to keep it, who bled to defend it. But your story is different. Yours is the story of what happens when power falls on a soul unsuited for its cruelty, when a child becomes a king, when innocence meets ambition, when gentleness meets a world built on blood. It asks us to consider, what kind of rulers do we honor? Those who fight, or those who seek peace, those who conquer, or those who pray? And what does it mean in the end to rule at all? Perhaps your tragedy is not that you were weak, but that the world had no place for your kind of strength.